farmers digging a well near the Chinese city of Xi'an discovered their work. Strange fragments of clay sculpted in human form. Chinese archaeologists dug test probes, which led to a staggering find. 8,000 clay warriors, infantry, archers, generals, cavalry, buried in 3 pits near the tomb of one of history's most powerful men. The brilliant soldier and ruthless conqueror called Chang Huangdi. More than 2,000 years ago, he unified 7 warring kingdoms into a single empire called China, giving himself the title of First Emperor, and building himself one of the biggest pyramid tombs ever seen on Earth. Why did China's first emperor order 8,000 life-size clay soldiers for his tomb, something no Chinese ruler had ever done before? And how did his artists make those 8,000 statues, each nearly 2 meters tall and weighing up to 300 kilograms, something no Chinese craftsman had ever done before? The vast achievement of the Terracotta Warriors demands an explanation. Even for an emperor, they would have cost a fortune. Creating them would have required years of work and endless ingenuity, as workers struggled to make clay statues on a scale never attempted before. And when they were finally finished, they were buried out of sight for all time. Why did Chang Huangdi go to all the trouble and expense of making them? Nearly 200 kilometers west of the first emperor's tomb, archaeologist Jing Hongwei is in charge of another tomb where the search for answers begins. In 537 BC, some 300 years before the first emperor unified China, this gigantic pit was the tomb of Qing Gong, ruler of the small kingdom of Qing and the first emperor's ancestor. And these wooden boxes are grim reminders of what happened here on the day he was buried. The ritual killing of his entire court.
When Qing Gong passed away, he buried 186 living people with him. They were buried in these coffins. Each coffin was numbered, and each victim was also given a number. Every victim was buried in the coffin with his or her number. The position of every coffin had been pre-assigned.
Pride of place went to the ruler's ministers and wives, assigned to the coffins nearest his own. Cruder caskets in the outer ranks held the royal craftsmen, bodyguards, and other useful commoners. All of them killed to serve their lord in death as they had in life. This was the biggest human sacrifice ever found in an ancient Chinese tomb. But it wasn't the only one.
Almost every big tomb would have 100 to 200 corpses. This is a massive number.
Body counts like these from royal tombs conjure up images of slaughter. But the evidence doesn't support a bloodbath. These are the bones of some of the people buried in Qing Gong's tomb. And according to archaeologist Jiang Zhongli, some of these people were happy, or at least willing, to die.
At
that time, people believed that there was another world where people could carry on their lives after death. Rulers, attendants, and followers were enjoying their lives with their masters when he was alive, so it was quite natural to follow him when he died. For them, Death was another form of life.
也有着主人与我有恩，我就要报恩。秦穆公死了以后呢，他的3个大臣。
Some people were terrified and unwilling to die, but some other people thought their lives were meaningless without their master. So they wanted to follow their master to death and considered this a big honor.
是不愿意的。
Mass human sacrifice in China finally fell victim to an even bigger slaughter. Less than 65 years after Gong's funeral, China's 7 kingdoms plunged into war. It was called the Time of the Warring States, and it lasted over 250 years. As generation after generation died by the thousands and populations declined, sacrificing hundreds of people for the afterlife became an unaffordable luxury.
At that time, human life became more important. As a consequence of years of war, the population had decreased significantly. Each state was struggling to maintain its population, since population means productivity.
By the time the first emperor ended decades of war and unified China, human sacrifices were rare, and rulers were substituting more humane ways of providing for their afterlives.
你比如说这个